Eulah, 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 Adela.
Gabila Bombay.
When Patois te chez Adela.
Gabila Bombay.
Mise toi puis moi Adela.
Gabila Bombay.
Et moi doré, doré Adela.
Gabila Bombay.
You remember that when we were children, we got together very often.
August holidays.
And occasional visits.
Right.
But one thing that I remember very clearly was when they got together, like hens, setting hens, as opposed to talking about husband and outside women and so on. And my first encounter was in Siparia, when Nenen and Auntie Patricia and Mammy, and who else was there? Maybe your mother too. And maybe Goyo, who knows? And they were talking behind closed doors. And we heard Maui. And we heard ça c'est Maui. Et ça c'est femme là aussi. À porter l'église. So when we heard that, we listened. But we were just learning French at secondary school. Must have been about 7, 8, 9 years. Very young. And we were very proud when they opened the door and they emerged. And what you all doing there? Go and play. So, Mommy, 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 we heard Maui, that is husband. We heard femme. What? Shh, shh. Didn't want the others to know. So that was the end of the first Patois experience. First Patois experience. Now, when you were in Aruka, you all were in Aruka?
In Aruka, yes.
Right. Auntie Nia spoke any Patois at all?
Well, I'll tell you, my father was very interested in the British education. He did not know anything about Patois. As a matter of fact, he laughed hilariously at my mother and sisters when they sneaked off somewhere to talk Spanish and Patois. And he would pass, open the door and say, kuma, 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 and laugh and leave. And my mother used to get so annoyed. She said, learn something, whatever, in Patois. But she used to tell him, well, why don't you learn something? And he'd say, but you there, you learn it for me. And he would laugh and leave. So he did not know anything. But I suspect, now that I look back, that he understood it. Because he would often walk off and laugh at what they were saying. And then we were intrigued by the whole thing. So we would sneak up to the door and listen at the door. And we picked up a few words like you. But what we loved was the words that we knew were sort of vicious words, salop and couillon and whatever.
Couillonnade.
And we go out and tell our friends all these things and they would laugh. But we never were taught, she never spoke to us in that language. Because they saw it as a means of communicating secretly. And their children must not know what they were talking about. And I think you were perfectly correct. They were relating to each other all the little discrepancies that these men were carrying on with and all the complaints they had. So when Grandma came up, she seemed to have been the recipient of all the marital foibles and she would hear it and she would give them advice and the voice would drop. So we knew something important was going on there. Now, apart from that, I haven't had too much experience with Patois, but recently I thought about it and I think it's such a loss that we were not taught Patois or learned Spanish naturally. We had to go to university to do that.
Not only that, it was also, I think while we were discouraged from learning the Patois, repeating it, because it was the language of the uneducated.
Yes.
And therefore we had to be, you know,
a cut
like
above.
the French who spoke, and the English who spoke English, and the Spanish and so forth. So we couldn't possibly identify ourselves, speaking Patois and so on, because they would have said, when we asked, I remember asking a question, and we were told it was broken French.
That's how they said it.
Yes, it was broken French, and it's not for you all to learn, and it was a kind of dismissive. Granny, however, remember her?
Of course.
Small and short, and
a bit of a, as the British would say, a martinet.
Yeah, and she spoke both, remember?
Yes, yes.
So she never spoke English at all?
I have never heard her speak English, and the attempts she made I thought were laughable.
Yes. I remember Nenen now. Nenen was the eldest of the girls, and she used to complain about the washing and the cooking and the ironing, and that was a big joke for us.
Yeah.
But she, even when she was in San Fernando and we used to visit, and as we grew older and so forth, she had not lost her accent at all. Auntie Patricia would say, my dear, my dear.
But none of them lost their accent.
Yeah.
My mother did not lose her accent ever. She always spoke English and whatever else as a second language. She was very language prone, because she would go to the shop and talk Chinese, as my little son said at the time.
Yeah.
Oh God, Granny could talk Chinese. Because she'd go to the shop and talk to the man with a few words. We heard her throwing in words with everybody. They were all very language prone.
And they used to sing for us, remember? Dodo, piti, popo, and so on.
Piti, popo.
Dodo, piti, popo, pavle, dodo, and so forth.
Yes, yes.
And Mom used to dance and sing at the same time. And Berridge-Borde. I remember that one?
Yes.
Berridge-Borde, Berridge-Borde, do. And we are very pleased with that because Mom used to sing for us and things like that.
You remember there was a little game we used to play. I don't know if you ever played it, but when we were in primary school, we played a game. I can't remember all of it. And part of it was somebody's approaching. You said, bonjour, madame. They say, bonjour, monsieur. You see two cock pass here? But meaning two cocks. The person lost their fowls, and we would answer, but I can't remember the rest of the game. But we used to play that regularly.
I don't know.
We thought it was great. Yeah. It was a lovely little game to play. There were a lot of Patois games.
Yes, yes.
Plenty Patois games.
Yeah. You see, it's a sort of thing, I have to call it brainwashing, that we would have been laughed at by the French Creoles at school. We call it white girls.
But the teachers would have laughed at you.
Yes, they would. And they would have said, don't say that. So we had to say, bonjour, and we had to do it properly, and we had to do the air. And we had to do the on, we had to do, and then we would have been said, well, you're great at language. But if you made a mistake to say bonjour, you corrected, or you don't say, they never explained, they just said, don't say that. And the clothes, remember the clothes, how they danced?
It's true. But that was a Driet thing from Martinique, with his big skirt.
Yes.
There was some left when we were growing up.
Yeah, but it was very, very colorful. The way that, they dressed, some of the head ties and everything.
People think that these folk dancers make that up. That is not made up. That's how people dressed. I remember seeing people in the street wearing that.
You mean in Martinique or here?
Yeah, in Trinidad, in Aruca. They walked, some women walked in that outfit, which I thought was great.
Yeah,
I couldn't wait to get big to wear that. But we loved all these stories. His twins and Elijah Bless.
Yes.
Sukuya and the whatever else there was going. Lugaru. And the woman who was half snake.
Yeah.
What was she now? The one who used to go in the water.
Yeah. Mama Glow.
Mama de Lo was really what it is, but Mama Glow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was the woman who enticed men to come into the water, and then she squeezed them to death. I love those stories. Yeah. I thought they were so interesting.
So you thought they should have one in existence to squeeze them
right now, just throw them in the water when they misbehave and let them get squeezed to death.
And who was the one who used to have the foot turned backward or something like that?
That is the Dwen.
That's the Dwen.
Unbaptized child.
Babies.
Because it was unbaptized. Here goes the Catholic Church.
The one
unbaptized foot twist.
The one with the hoof. Remember that one?
The hoof was...
This good-looking, beautiful woman.
Yeah, she was one... She wasn't Laja Bless. She was Laja Bless.
Laja Bless.
With the hoof, yes. Yes, the whole idea.
That's why I think it was to prevent the men from going out at night.
From going out at night, and also it's a form of social control for the children.
Yeah,
do not go out at night. We have no time to look after you. Otherwise, these people will get you. You know.
And the sukuya.
And so on. But I thought those were fascinating tales because you always knew it wasn't true. You just got a little frightened, like Santa Claus. We knew he wasn't real, but we loved it.
Yes.
So that was part of the country thing, and all of that was French derived, Patois derived.
Kokioko is on your back.
Kokioko, that's when you put you on your back and you're playing foul. Yes.
You give somebody, your father used to talk about Kokioko.
Yes.
Yes. When you just give somebody a ride.
Kokioko. But people do Kokioko here. If you're walking with children in a carnival band.
Yes, put them on your back.
That's a Kokioko. Give me a Kokioko.
Yes.
Now, what on earth is Kokioko? I mean, in terms of the language, I don't know. Must he Kokioko like a fowl?
sound yet.
Like cock-a-doodle-doo.
The sound.
And onomatopoeia thing. Like
Ah, kokioko.
You don't know your father's story about Kokyoko?
No.
He put one of his brothers on his back. He gave him a Kokyoko, and he ran pelting to the front door, and the front door was glass. So the child had to be rushed to the hospital. So
Oh, God.
he only,
Which one was it?
I can't remember, was he Conrad, because they were close together.
Ayo, 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 Adela.
Galila Bombay,
Ayo, 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 Adela.
Galila
When
Bombay,
pass away to share Adela.
Galila Bombay,
It's me the country, moi Adela.
Galila Bombay,
Et moi-même, do Adela.
Galila Bombay,